doesn't like my name.
Don't worry about that. It's a terrible name. He wants to call the show Encyclopedia Nerdtanica. That's not the name. The name of the show is Back Issues. Welcome to Back Issues. I'm Sal.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Ben.
We're going to talk about one or two comics. I don't know. I had a bunch of comics on my kitchen table, and Ethan was like, "What is this?" And it spiraled into this. So, kick it off.
All right. So I was looking at this, and it's got an insane cover. It's got a dude like with half of his face covered in this thing. Now I know this is Venom. Like, I'm not
dude.
Like I know Venom.
Yeah, like you know what Venom is,
but like I never read comics, so I don't.
That's why it's so funny because like I know this Venom. This is as familiar to me as like a picture of my mom. But,
I know his name's Eddie Brock, but in this cover he kind of looks like Guile.
This book that we're talking about is the collected volumes of Amazing Spider-Man called Venom Returns. This was after Venom had fought Spider-Man for the first time, but he was so fucking popular. He was so 90s-tacular. He was so fucking awesome. He was rad and cool.
Because there's like spit and shit coming out of his mouth.
That is actually later.
It's actually really uncomfortable to look at.
It's actually when in the very beginning when McFarlane helped create and develop the look for Venom. McFarlane's Venom had big teeth. They weren't like gnarly and drooly and shit. Like he didn't have like a gum disease. Eric Larson, who created and drew Savage Dragon, back in this time he drew the Hulk, which who could imagine the guy who drew the Hulk invented the Savage Dragon, who was just the Hulk with a fin on his head.
Now, one thing I really notice here is that they really love the effects of like shit like wrapping around.
Well,
him.
yeah, because the costumes are
part of the original. Like there's all this intricate like stuff going on here.
Well, the costume really itself is an alien entity. Like it just chooses the form
of
a
suit.
Symbiote,
right?
Well, it is a symbiote, and it's
I knew something.
I
knew that word is associated with Venom.
That's right. Here's the thing:
a parasite will like.
Drain.
That's the thing.
Like
now, Venom is a parasite, but when they first invented him, Venom's costume. Okay, so Spider-Man in 1984 had to go to a faraway planet and fight villains with his friends in a book called Secret Wars.
Okay,
it was really dumb.
I'm not gonna everyone know about them.
Yeah.
Sorry, dumb joke.
No, but it's so Secret Wars was dumb, and who cares? But the only thing that matters, it really is like it was 12 issues. Everyone died in it, but the only thing that matters in Secret Wars is that Spider-Man got a new costume. It also like took control of his body and like took him places. Like it knew he was Spider-Man, and it like became familiar with those customs. So like like when Peter would fall asleep, the costume would like get on him and then just be Spider-Man. And then he'd know, and he'd wake up and he'd be like, "I'm exhausted." It was more like the costume developed an attachment to him, like emotionally. The costume was like in love with him. Right. It was like, "I want to be with you forever, so like I'll attach myself to you."
Well, Symbiote's made for life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Spider-Man's like, "Ew, no!" Like that's really the whole book. Is like he's like, "Ew, no!" And he like gets rid of it. The Fantastic Four keep it,
and it's like resentful,
and it gets angry.
A jilted love.
Okay,
it's a girlfriend. It's the girlfriend he doesn't want.
Yeah, it's actually an allegory for every ex that you've ever had.
It's this cruel,
like
draining thing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Latch onto you and don't let go.
Yeah, that's really more.
They won't go away.
Venom doesn't drain you.
Every girlfriend you've ever had has been like that, right? Every single
one.
She has a rebound in the form of Eddie Brock.
Eddie Brock, who's like Spider-Man, but not as good.
Well, that's the thing. No.
Hates Peter Parker.
Well, here's the thing. In the comics, there was this serial killer named Sin Eater. Now, they had in Spider-Man in the 70s, he had like all these villains, and they all had really different like powers and ideas. But like Sin Eater was just he put on a ski mask and he shot people with a shotgun. So Eddie Brock worked for a rival newspaper from the Daily Bugle called the Daily Globe, and Eddie Brock was like a shitty reporter, and he winds up living next door to a guy who is schizophrenic, and he sees the Sin Eater on TV and then says, "Oh, that must be me. I'm the Sin Eater." So Brock is like, "Cool, you're the Sin Eater. What a scoop!" And then he outs him in the Daily Globe. So Eddie Brock is disgraced because Spider-Man catches the Sin Eater and reveals him to be Stan Carter, who's this cop. Actually.
Oh. Yeah, because that's how journalism works. If you're wrong about anything,
they just fire him.
You're just ruined forever.
Right?
You can't ever be wrong.
There's no redaction or anything.
Yeah,
no.
You can only tell the truth, and if you ever lie, that's it for your career.
So Eddie Brock's life falls apart, and he blames Spider-Man because he can't take responsibility for himself.
Right.
And so he, like, all he does is just lift weights. He's like, this is all I can do! So he becomes this huge jacked guy.
Right.
And then he's like, that doesn't help me. That didn't help me either.
I guess I'm done.
Yeah, so he goes to this church because he's also Catholic, and he's like, he begs God for forgiveness about what he's going to do, and he's going to kill himself. And the symbiote is like hiding in the church that he died in, and it like hears. Yeah, well, it's just kind of like nursing itself back to health,
Which is a really dumb idea because doesn't the bell ring all the time?
Yeah, why am I here? Why wouldn't I go maybe one block down from this bell? And so then you have the Venom story.
Well, I saw this woman with gigantic red hair and huge boobs, and I don't see Mary Jane, so I guess
that is Mary Jane. Yeah,
okay.
that's Todd McFarlane started it off. He was like, it's the 80s, let's give her huge curly red hair, because that is the definition of sex appeal.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, he basically was probably just like, let me just grab an issue of Playboy from 1988, and it's like, oh, huge tits and hair. Jackpot. Which is ironically her line. Yeah. So
her line?
Well, that's what she says when she first meets Spider-Man. She says, face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot.
Oh.
Ironically, she had, like, super straight hair and modest chest size, so, like...
At the time, right?
Yeah.
So what's this? Like,
This is like the double...
Mega Millions
This is the Powerball. Two of them, anyway. But Mary Jane, in this book, she is an actress on a soap opera called Secret Hospital.
Okay.
And,
what's so secret about it?
Well, you have to watch the show to find out.
Is that
they heal people from the Secret War.
I was going to say, is that the hospital where they take you to take your kidney out?
No, that's
the black market.
It's like General Hospital, but it's like more soap opera-y.
It's a secret.
Well, there are secrets in the hospital.
The secrets are in the hospital. It's basically Grey's Anatomy. It's like fuck hospital.
It's like Hospital of Secrets.
Yeah.
Not that the hospital itself.
No, it's not like a ghost hospital or. But anyway, so she's a supermodel and an actress, and that's why they drew her like that.
I see.
At least that's what I guess.
Okay.
Because you can't be an actress unless you have those things.
Yeah, like those huge fucking boobs in this book.
Right. Well, that's just true. One other thing I really noticed about this book is that it covers a lot of ground, like, visually.
Yeah.
Like, there's like snow or something here.
No, he's mimicking water.
Yeah.
See, the alien costume, he's underwater.
But no, they're making a snowman.
Oh, she's someplace else.
Oh. Okay.
So that he can figure shit out.
And he's like in the jungle now?
Venom
Like what?
cryogenically freezes Spider-Man and then flies him via a charter plane to a tropical island to fight him.
Okay. Like 1 minute he's like in like hallways and shit.
Yeah.
And then like.
Well, in this story,
then
Spider-Man
he's
gets a
out.
call because Spider-Man is a grad student in this continuity.
Okay.
And he gets a call from one of his professors, and his professor's like, "Hey, we're gonna check out this new cryogenics lab,
Okay.
and we wanted you to check it out with us." And it's kind of like, why? What a weird thing. But Spider-Man's like, "Ooh, I can use it to freeze Venom, and then I don't know, deal with him later." So but what happened was Venom
like
manipulated the guy and made him and lured him there.
Oh, so then Spider-Man gets frozen.
Exactly.
So, can I ask a question about the flight safety and not having to check certain things where it's like, hi, I'd like to charter a plane. All right, do you have any baggage? Well, I have this about 6 foot long metal trunk with a frozen guy inside.
Yeah.
But don't worry, I have a permit.
Well, that's the thing. He doesn't even the cryogenics room freezes Spider-Man, and then he can just pick up Spider-Man. So he doesn't even need a box.
He just thaws out naturally.
Yeah, he just wakes up eventually.
That's not how that works.
All powered.
You can freeze frogs and they'll come back.
Yeah, more or less all
you can
super.
freeze a bee.
Yeah.
Tie a little piece of floss around the midsection, and then when it wakes up, you have a bee on a leash.
Is that a thing? Have you done that?
I saw that.
I tried, but it kept waking up.
It kept waking up.
Kept waking up. How many times were you stung by this abused bee?
How many bees
Choose
did
not
you
to
go
comment.
through on this?
That's what I want to know.
Just picturing you sting you, just
Damn
smash
it!
and
All
get
right.
another one from the jar.
Give me another from the jar.
Hand me another bee. Hand me another bee.
This book, I think it encompasses like 4 issues,
Okay.
and so much happens.
Yeah.
Like, you go from the Bronx to Queens to Philly to some tropical island that they never established to Rikers Island. There's even a backup story where Venom is like someplace in the fucking Midwest. It's by the way, this is also the story that kind of establishes that Venom reluctantly kills people. Like, he's like, I have to kill you because you're part of a greater purpose, and that purpose is me killing Spider-Man.
Okay.
And that's what eventually led to making Venom into the Lethal Protector, which was like, in the 90s they were big into like heroes,
Right.
like Punisher or Ghost Rider. Like, just heroes like...
he had his own comic, right?
Oh, yeah.
At that point, and
Well, the thing is,
they had to make him, like, kind of, like, relatable. Or...
Yeah, because back in the day, like, they did every Venom book back then was a mini-series. They never had, like, Venom. Like, so you never get to, like, issue 100 for Venom.
Right.
They would always be like, Venom Lethal Protector, or Venom the Madness, or Venom the Hunted, or Venom versus the Punisher. Like, and, yeah, for a good, like, 5 years, maybe, they had... regular Venom miniseries where Venom would like fight the Juggernaut, or he would like, and it was a mess. It was so terrible. People like Lethal Protector. That was the first one, and probably because Mark Bagley drew it and Spider-Man appears in it. Like that's really the only one people. And I guess people really like Venom the I think it's Venom the Madness. I don't remember, but there's one where it's like it glows in the dark. You hold the cover up to the light, and then it fucking glows in the dark. It glows green. I think I have that issue somewhere over there.
Very 90s.
It's a really nice, kitschy thing, but then you're just like, all right, I'm in the dark with this comic.
Yeah,
shit.
I can only look at the cover. I can't read it. Well, because who cares if it's practical? It's just awesome.
Well, it's when you go to bed, you can see your cover on the nightstand.
Yeah, you're like, oh, there's Venom protecting me. He's the lethal protector
of my bedroom.
Exactly.
I remember reading this weird novel. It was a Spider-Man novel.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So,
Spider-Man novel?
Novel.
They did that for a little while, yeah.
And Venom was in it. And he meets these 3 punks in a subway sewer somewhere. Mm-hmm. Like, it's either a subway tunnel or it's an old sewer system, but he's hanging out underground.
The Ninja Turtles would be there. It's very much like that kind of set piece.
And, like, he runs across these 3 guys, and they attack him, and he's beating the shit out of them. And I think he eats them.
Venom eats them?
If you look at the art in this book, you can imagine he could probably eat Spider-Man.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, the mouth is very graphic, but like this whole lethal protector thing. Like, these punks just
but he's lethal.
Okay. In the comics, Venom does threaten to eat Spider-Man's brains and drink his marrow. Like, it's very graphic.
Yeah.
But he never does.
Right.
He's all
villains threaten all kinds of horrible
You
things.
can't eat Spider-Man's brains and drink his marrow because he's the hero.
Yeah, exactly. He's not going to kill Spider-Man.
He's going to do that to random
someone was
dwellers.
Wait, why doesn't Venom ever actually eat anybody?
somebody. He keeps talking about
see that shit since he said that he was going to eat
That's
someone.
why he's writing
He's got
Spider-Man.
the mouth. He's got the mouth.
Yeah. Well, it's
so lame.
Back then,
never payoff. They always set it up, and he never eats someone. Fuck this book.
the short answer is no, he does not, or he did not. Eddie Brock Venom never ate anybody. He beat people to death. He suffocated them with his webbing.
Okay.
But he never ate.
He never crossed that line.
No, because you couldn't do that. Back then, these books had to be approved by a mom and pop group called the Comics Code Authority, and if they had really the sexy shit, like the cheesecake of these books, like the moms and dads and principals were like, okay.
Right.
But graphic
Mary Jane
violence.
passes.
Well, and in fact, the brains eating thing, back when Marvel and Toy Biz had a real relationship, they had these awesome action figures, but for a very brief period of time they had talking action figures. And of course, the limitations of the toys at the time, you had the sweet plastic action figure with the articulation and everything. And then you plugged a plastic box on their back, like they're wearing a proton pack. And it had little buttons on the back that said, that said things. And but Venom's were, die, Spider-Man, roar, and I'm going to eat your brains. And it said it on the fucking package. Like, the package was like him going like, I'm gonna eat your brains. like fucking
What's his catchphrase?
like a selling point. Yeah. Eddie Brock loses the suit. Ultimately, Eddie Brock isn't Venom. Now, Eddie Brock is not Venom. And he hasn't been Venom for almost 10 years.
So who's Venom now?
Actually, Spider-Man's old bully, Flash Thompson, is Venom.
Ah.
And it's actually really kind of interesting, because, Flash Thompson was a veteran in the 60s and 70s. He went to war. And since they can't have Spider-Man be born in 1950 anymore, they kind of, update the wars that he was in. So
he was in Desert Storm?
No, he was in Iraq. So Flash is in Iraq. He loses his fucking legs. His legs get blown off in an IED.
Oh, shit.
And
shit gets real.
Well, that's the thing about comics today, is they're like, well, let's make it fucking real.
Yeah.
So he loses his fucking legs, so he's a war hero. And some company, separates... The Venom suit goes to a few people before it hits Flash Thompson.
It goes
Spider-Man. Spider-Man has it.
Peter Parker. Eddie Brock.
Eddie Brock has it. There were a couple of people between Peter Parker and Eddie Brock where the suit was like looking for people. Like it would get on someone and then like web swing him around and then be like, I don't want this guy, and then leave. There was like one or two. Yeah, like this guy doesn't feel right. I'm going to go for somebody else. So they did that. What they established later, what I was trying to say earlier was.
They're the one-night swings.
Yeah. The suit was very much a symbiote in that it didn't really take anything from Spider-Man except like his time. But later on, it established that the suit fed off of Spider-Man's adrenaline.
Oh.
And it liked Spider-Man's adrenaline because he was superpowered. So like he gave off
adrenaline of a spider.
Well, of a man
it's
spider.
The most delicious.
Yeah.
Adrenaline.
And it like fed off of that. And the reason why it approached Eddie Brock was because Eddie Brock like had fucking muscles and shit like that he pumped up. And ultimately, it like used Eddie Brock. Like in these books, it didn't matter. They were just both assholes who wanted to razzle Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Later, they were like, let's make it harder and let's make it more interesting. So like the suit like leached all of Eddie's like energy and strength and like left him.
He's not a superhero.
No, he's just a dude. So, but so it goes to Eddie Brock, and then Eddie Brock sells the suit after watching The Passion of the Christ because he's like a changed man. So he auctions it off.
What?
Supervillain auction.
Wait, he can just take it off? You just be like,
no, you can't. When Spider-Man has the suit, it's part of it wants to attach to him.
Right.
And he says no, and that's what causes the rift.
Right.
When it finds Venom, it asks, and Venom's like, and Eddie Brock's like, sure. So it attaches to him, and it becomes like part of it. So they're like one.
Right.
And when Spider-Man like tries to get it off of him, it doesn't get off, and he's like, oh my god, they're attached. If I kill the suit, it might kill Brock, which was like his
dilemma.
His dilemma. Yeah, I can't really
kill aliens.
Yeah, I can kill animals. Fuck them. Oh, and they do that all the time. It's really actually irresponsible. They've done that even up until like a couple of years ago.
Like aliens aren't people.
Yeah, they're not fucking people.
And it feeds
they just
into your.
talk and they have civilization, but they're not people.
Right, and it's really really uncomfortable, and it actually feeds into what you were saying because when Norman Osborn, aka the Green Goblin, takes over Shield a couple of years ago, the guy who took over as Venom, who was actually the Scorpion back in the day, Mac Gargan, his Venom eats people, and it's just.
It fulfills the promise
and it does
the original
of that novel. Like so,
and the novel.
Yeah, and the Skrulls, which were like a alien shape-shifting race that come from the Fantastic Four books.
Are they eating all the time?
They infiltrated every aspect of the government in a book called Secret Invasion. And when Norman Osborn takes over and they stop the Secret Invasion, there's still some Skrulls running around because they can look like anybody. And what they do was Norman Osborn makes. There's like an interrogation scene, and instead of doing waterboarding, they have two Skrulls, and then Venom eats one. And they're like, we need information, eat that Skrull. And they show it because they're aliens, fuck them, right? Because aliens can't be allegorical for, like, ethnicities or people, right? Like
Even though they basically look like Homo sapiens with a head and arms and
fucking
legs
people with
and faces.
clothes and suits and, like, fucking spaceships and democracy. And, like, the thing that really is frustrating is that the Skrulls represented Russians in the 60s because it was all about, like, anyone could be a communist. And so, like, and they look just like us. Like, that's why it's so fucking creepy and weird that they would do that. But anyway, Venom ate Skrulls and people when he was Mac Gargan the Scorpion.
Okay.
So Mac Gargan takes over, and then actually only about like 3 or 4 years ago, they separated the suit. They just said, you know what? It's really inconvenient for them to be attached and to do this thing. So we'll just make it be able to go away. We'll just make them be able to separate. Fuck it. So they do that with the Venom thing. Like, I think, Venom, Eddie Brock gets cancer, and the suit doesn't want him anymore, because it's like, you're all cancery. And so it leaves, and he's like, oh no, and then he gets it back because certain writers are like, but I like Venom, and I'm from the 90s, so fuck it. And so, like,
then it's like, I'm really sorry I wrote you a love letter.
Yeah, like, I don't know how they patch things up, but...
Stood outside the church with a boombox over his head.
Which one, the suit or Venom? The suit or
Eddie Brock.
Eddie Brock's like, come on, Venom, come back.
I was picturing the suit, like, just crawling around the ground, and there's a boombox.
Or just two big hands made out of black goo. It's so
just from the ground.
Yeah,
from the ground. Just a technical question: can the suit talk?
The suit can talk
without a person.
The suit no.
Actually, it's like telepathy.
It used to be that way, but now the suit can talk because because writers got lazy and they were like, "But I want the suit to be able to communicate without characters monologuing about what the suit wants." So yes, eventually,
Does it
like,
have a mouth when it talks? Does
no,
it form like a rah, rah, like...
They communicate it by giving him like a weird looking speech bubble. Okay. So like it's like, is he talking in their heads?
Oh,
Does it sound weird? So it's very vague.
It could be whatever you want.
Yeah, but it does have the way I've always interpreted speech bubbles. There's a bubble and there's an arrow. The arrow goes to your mouth. That means you're talking.
Right.
If the bubbles are bubbles instead of an arrow, that means you're thinking.
Yeah.
And if there is no bubble, or if there's just a bubble and nothing else, then that means that it's like mental communication, like it's talking in your head.
Okay.
They always show a arrow pointing at the Venom suit, but there's not necessarily a mouth. But sometimes there is.
I mean, does it look like a person?
No, it's usually it's like two-dimensional. It's like bleh.
So they separate Eddie Brock from...
So earlier in this book, Venom returns. They separate Venom and the suit and Eddie Brock.
Right.
Eddie Brock goes to regular people jail. And
he doesn't go to a hospital because he's got cancer?
No, he doesn't have cancer yet.
No, that's later.
That's later. That's like 10 years from this fucking book.
Yeah.
But he's cellmates with another serial killer named Cletus Cassidy. And the suit comes for Eddie and like breaks him out. But when it breaks him out, the suit reproduces because the symbiotes reproduce asexually. So it just happened to be pregnant at the time, and it birthed a piece of the suit. And Cletus Cassidy got that and created Carnage.
Yeah.
So Carnage is like the son of Venom.
Okay.
And then in Venom Lethal Protector, there's a company that finds out about Carnage and Venom, and then separate the suit and Eddie, and then just start harvesting its eggs and making symbiotes. So it makes 5 symbiotes, and then gives them to willing participants.
Are they all different colors?
Yes, they're all different colors. 2 of them are women.
They're women symbiotes, or they
no, they're women. They're women
people.
Humans.
Okay.
But the suits reflect that they're women.
Right,
it's like they have boobs and hair.
Right.
Fucking 80s and 90s hair.
Yeah.
Hey, only women have hair.
Have big hair.
Wait,
yeah.
they have hair outside the suit?
No, you don't see their hair. Like it's like symbiote hair. It's like tentacles.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's really dumb, and no one liked it. They thought it was awesome because you're like 5 symbiotes. If Carnage if Venom is cool and Carnage is awesome, then 5 Carnages must be like super rad, and it wasn't. It was in fact overkill. I would argue that Carnage was overkill.
Yeah, because Carnage is just a mess.
Carnage was really a great. Carnage is like a 90s. Is like. Carnage is a monster.
Yeah,
was really
just
cool.
Kills a lot of people.
He's just a dick.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. That's the thing. He's a nihilist in a Venom costume, and so he's actually cool because he could like make his suit into like axes and shit. He can shoot parts of his costume out as like spikes and stuff.
Right.
And it was the beginning of the Venom and Spider-Man like team ups. Because like Venom's like, I don't want this crazy asshole using my child to kill people.
Right.
And Spider-Man's like, I don't want this crazy asshole killing people.
Right.
So they team up and they fight Carnage. They do it on 2 occasions at least. The first one was fun, and then the second one was called Maximum Carnage, and it was maximum stupid. It was 14 parts, and that was the thing they actually established. That they were like, oh, an epic Spider-Man tale in 14 parts, and I picked it up and went, 14? Fuck you!
Yeah,
and I read every one, and I bought every single one, and I put them all in polybags, and I read every single one like 100 times. And it was garbage. We're not going to talk about Maximum Carnage.
All right.
But one day we will, and it'll be double the length of this episode. So, questions anymore about Venom Returns? Because there's a lot in there, and a lot of it is irrelevant at this point.
There's a lot going on here.
Yeah. There's also some fun stuff in there, like Spider-Man's still kind of a newlywed in this book. And he had just broken up with Black Cat. Oh. And Black Cat knows his secret identity too. So she winds up hooking up with Flash Thompson. And she like breaks into Spider-Man's house when Spider-Man's home by himself. And she's like, hey, once you wise up and break up with your wife, then we can be together and it'll be great. And I'm just going to leverage you a little further by letting you know that I'm fucking your best friend. And I'm going to make him like fall in love with me. And then I'm going to break up with him. And to make you feel like I felt when you break up with me.
It's Flash Thompson.
Yeah, Flash Thompson, who is now Venom.
Wait, who is Peter Parker's friend?
Yeah, when they were in the 60s, they were like, he was a bully.
Yeah.
Right.
But Flash Thompson was also the biggest fan of Spider-Man. Like, Flash Thompson was the president of the Spider-Man fan club, but also hated Peter Parker. And later on...
What a twist!
What a twist! That was fucking... And I think that's a cute little thing. It was like, it's so ironic. Like, you hate me, but you love who I am. But
he says that to Flash one day. Flash was like, "The hell are you talking about?"
love? What are you talking about? Boom. But basically, they kind of just eventually make up. Eventually, Flash Thompson realizes making fun of nerds is a real douchey thing to do, and he just gets over it. I believe Flash Thompson goes to war, and when he comes back, he's like, "I was a fucking clod. I'm sorry." Okay. And Peter's like, "Okay,
that's cool."
And then Flash Thompson's like, "And I'm going to live my life by the ideals that Spider-Man set for me. So I'm going to be a better person." And then eventually, they just become really tight. In this book, they're best friends.
So is this Flash Thompson here?
Black Cat? That's Flash Thompson Black Cat, yeah.
Okay.
Now, does Flash ever find out that Peter is Spider-Man?
No, he has never known.
Ever?
No. Even
of all
now.
the fucking people,
of all the people who know that he is, which, by the way,
of the Spider-Man
everyone knew.
club,
yeah, when he fucking Civil War, he tells everybody who he is, and he's like, "What? What the fuck, man?" And everyone, and like really close friends of his are like, "Yeah," and he's like, "What? This is bullshit! How did you not tell me? How?
Am I the only one who didn't know?"
I got the bed sheets.
There were two people. Yeah, I got the bed sheet. I got a tattoo of him on my ass. There were two people who didn't know: J. Jonah Jameson and Flash Thompson, which is so funny.
I mean, you can't tell Jonah. Peter's gonna lose his job.
I love when Jonah finds out, by the way, because it's just Spider-Man takes off his mask in front of all these cameras, and he's like, "I'm Peter Parker, and I've been Spider-Man since I was 15 years old," and Jonah just faints.
That's really the only appropriate reaction.
Oh, and then sues him.
Sues him?
Oh yeah, because because Peter Parker has been taking pictures of Spider-Man and then taking money from J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we established Carnage, Flash Thompson's relationship with Black Cat.
And that's
this is Cletus Cassidy, and this is the birth of Carnage.
All right, Cletus in his own way has Carnage's teeth.
He does look like Carnage right now. Yeah, he's very like. Nyeh.
So he knew Eddie Brock from jail.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I don't see Carnage.
You don't.
Oh, they're just
Boom.
referencing it. Oh, okay.
This is like get ready for some shit, and then this ends, and then some other shit happens, and then Carnage shows up.
Oh, so this issue is where
this is the book where Carnage is born, but you don't really, but he's never.
So
really
that's kind of like the one thing from this book that like carries on.
Yes, I mean,
really
everything in this book carries over. In that, like at the end of the book, because they're on like an island with nobody in it, and there was like this gas mine that killed the locals, and so everyone can just kind of abandon it. Nobody goes near it.
Okay.
And there was this shallow grave that Spider-Man walks through, and he figures out, like, Venom's never going to stop until I'm dead. So he creates this ruse, and Venom throws a truck at what he thinks is Spider-Man. It's actually just a torch that he set up near the gas mine.
Okay.
And then the gas mine explodes, and he's like, "Oh, I blew up Spider-Man." He gets there, and Spider-Man just desecrated some grave, grabbed a bunch of, like, bones, and put his Spider-Man costume on it. And he's like, "I killed Spider-Man!" And because he has nothing else really to do, because he's like, "Well, that's all I do. I'm just going to stay on the island and live here." So
I'm going to hang out with my dead friend Spider-Man.
So yeah, Venom returns. He returns in a big bad way. I loved this book when I was a kid, because it was like, it did the job that they were trying to do, which is, with these artists, like Eric Larson and Todd McFarlane and shit, like, they're like showing you new shit. Like, I loved the art in this book.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't...
It is good. I mean, the art is good.
Yeah, well, it's not. The proportions are horrible. The people are, like, ludicrously designed.
The one thing that throws me is that
Aunt May looks like Quicksilver.
upside down.
Well, I guess I meant it's interesting.
It is very interesting to look at.
Like
That
more
scene
advanced
where
than
It's much more...
Underwater.
You know what it is? It's very detailed.
All right.
Cool.
Venom returns.
Venom returns.
On back issues. Thanks for watching. If you made it to the end, congratulations! You win a Little House No prize! Which is to say, there is nothing.
A no prize?
Yeah, Marvel used to give out no prizes. If you were Ethan and you read Marvel comics back in the day, you might write a letter saying like, "Hey, in this issue this happens, but you've established in a long history where this doesn't happen." Or, "Hey, I tried to explain how this happened to my friend, and here's the idea I came up with." And they wrote that letter, and it would be printed in the book that they sent it to, and they would say, "That's it, that's right!" Or, "Good for you, congratulations, you win a Marvel No prize." And the No prize, sometimes they would actually mail you a letter. And it would be like, "Oh shit, I got an envelope from Marvel." Open up, nothing.
Wait,
They would mail you nothing. Marvel No prize.
It's just kind of giving your audience the middle finger.
But also something. Like, it's something but not.
yeah, it's a middle finger.
Yes, it's like something but not. This. You're number one. Number one asshole. Yeah.
Just read the goddamn stories.
Enjoy your fucking comic book. It's got spider people in it. You got bitten by a radioactive spider. Anyway, this has been Back Issues. I want to thank you all for watching. This was Venom Returns from Marvel Comics, a 90s classic that's from my personal collection, I'm sad to say. Anyway, for Little House Online, I am Sal.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Ben.
And let's do that. No, you know what? Fuck it. All right. Hey, you win a Little House No Prize.
Oh, figure.
Exactly.
Fuck me, right? Fuck me.
But then, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
At the end. Mary Jane and he have a fight, and she calls him a square. And then he goes, blasted MJ, you really calling me a square really burns me up. And I'm like, why doesn't you say fucking bitch? Like anybody.
Because that's what you say. When you're having an argument with your significant other.
I can never either
She calls you a square.
She calls me a square because I don't like the fine young cannibals. But
I
like,
gave it a shot. It's still
but the funny thing is, he is a square. I just meant like the language is really fucking watered down.
Yeah. Well, that almost seems like a joke, like an in-joke.
It is probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, you really burned me up calling me a square. Well, by the way, his favorite artist musically is Elvis Costello.
Oh.
So like he is a square.
Yeah.